Good day everyone. We will discuss on error message unable to access the database because no online secondary replicas are enabled for read-only access in this video. Let's get started. We will be using this particular environment for this video. JBS AG1 and JBS AG2 are configured as an synchronous replica. JBS AG3 is configured as an asynchronous replica as far as this availability group is concerned. We have availability group JBS AG configured. JBSWiki database is part of this availability group JBS AG. Importantly, we'll be using the listener JBS APP for this demo. Let's consider application team is reporting that when they are trying to connect to the always on listener and when they are running their read-only workload, which used to run perfectly all these days, is giving an error stating unable to access the JBSWiki database because no online secondary replicas are enabled for read-only access. So in this scenario, what we will try is we will try opening a command prompt and then we will execute a SQL CMD command to the listener and we will use the database JBSWiki, and the application intent we will try is read only, and then the query that we will be executing for this connection is select attached server name. Let's try this and then see what is the error that we are going to get. So if we look at it here, we are basically getting an error SQL CMD error, Microsoft ODBC Driver 17 for SQL Server, unable to access the JBSWiki database because no online secondary replicas are enabled for read-only access. Check the availability group configuration to verify that at least one secondary replica is configured for read-only access. Wait for an enabled replica to come online and retry your read-only operation. This message is pretty self-explanatory. This message basically indicates that there are no active read-only partners. So what we'll do is let's head to SSMS and then let's look at the always-on dashboard for JBS AG availability group. And what we are seeing here is the two secondary replicas that we can see here, both are down here. So if I try pinging it, let me ping JBS AG2. I'm seeing that this particular server is down. Let's try the same thing for AG3 also. This server is also down. So as the error indicated, both the replicas are basically down. So the error basically tells check the availability group configuration to verify that at least one secondary replica is configured for read-only access. So in our case, we have two secondary replicas that is configured for read-only access, but the problem is both JBS AG2 and JBS AG3, which are our secondary, is basically down, and that's the reason we are getting this particular error. When checked further, we were advised by the platforms team, that is the server which takes care of your Windows servers, basically tells the secondary servers JBS AG2 and JBS AG3 will not be up for some hours, maybe 1 day or maybe 2 days also. So now let's consider the application team doesn't want to change their connection string by dropping this particular switch, which is your application intent is equal to read only, and wanted us to make sure that the primary accepts the read connection. So in this case, what we'll do is let's look at the always on availability group configuration and see what do we have here. So if we see here, if we look at the connections in primary role, it basically tells allow read or write connections. And now what we'll do is since it is allow read or write connections, this basically requires you have this read routing list. What happens is when you use your read only switch as far as application intent switch is concerned, what happens is it basically moves on to your secondary, and now with this connections in primary role set to allow read or or write operations, what will happen is like this particular connection will fail because we are allowing read or write connection. So what we'll do now is like instead of this, for time being till the secondary comes online, we will use allow all connections for this, and then let's click on OK. Yeah. Once this is done, even though AG2 and AG3 secondaries are down, now let's try a connection from command prompt. And if you see here, this time the connection went fine. So right now, with this particular setting, all your read and write connections will basically be coming to your primary, which is JBS AG1. And once your secondaries comes online, you can go back to the always on availability group properties, and then you can change this connections in primary role back to allow read or write connections. And that way, what will happen is like any connections that has your application intent switch set to read only will basically be moved on to your one of the available secondary replicas. This now brings up the question, why can't we have the setting connections in primary role set to allow all connection instead of allow read or write connections? So basically, allow all connections can be an issue as connections where the application intent is set to read only or not disallowed on the primary replica anymore. With this setting in place, the read workloads may execute on both primary and the secondary. For JBS AG2, which is on the same data center as the primary, goes down, and we have intermittent network issue between data center, which makes JBS AG3 to be offline intermittently for JBS AG1. So the read workload might run on JBS AG1 and JBS AG3. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Jai Hind.